having a pleasant day so far. This is another session of the Career Transition series organized by the Institute of Product Leadership. My name's Harleen, and I'll be your host for today's session. The Career Transition series is to help you gain insights from individuals who have successfully transitioned into product management roles or accelerated their careers into product leadership. Right? Before we begin today's session, um, I just want to tell you all about the Q&A session we'll have at the end. Our speaker will share his experience on making a career transition from engineering to product management. Once he's done presenting his story and sharing it with us, we'll open up for questions. So you can post your questions on Zoom in the Q&A section. This session is also being streamed live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So viewers on any of these channels, please feel free to post your questions in the comment section and we'll share them with the speaker. Okay, then we'll kickstart the session by welcoming and introducing our speaker for this evening, Mr. Deepak Sharma. Deepak is a true innovator in the tech world. With a wealth of experience and a knack for building user centric clouds at Google, he's a product leader who knows how to make technology work for people. His journey includes pivotal roles in solution architecture, video workflows, and technical program management. He's a master at defining product roadmaps, pricing strategies, and go to market approaches. His past experience includes industry giants like Cisco, Ericsson, and Nokia, as well as agile startups. Pleased to have you join us this evening, Deepak.
Thanks a lot, Harleen. Thanks for this such a fabulous introduction. Um, I just want one confirmation. You can hear me, okay?
Yes, I
Okay,
can hear
cool.
you okay. I'll also stop sharing my screen so you can go ahead and do that.
Lovely.
Great. Yes, I can see your screen too.
Cool. Let me just put it in the slideshow mode.
Yeah.
And okay. So, which screen of mine you see? The slides?
Yes, the career journey slide.
Uh-huh. Okay. So when I do that, I loses the view. I can be only on the either of the sides. So no worries. Just
Okay,
just
all
give me a
right.
second. Yeah.
That's okay. We'll anyway do the Q&A section at the end.
Yeah.
And so you can, yeah, the screen is completely yours now.
Sounds good. Okay. Just give me a second. Somehow
Yeah,
I
of
lost
course.
the
No
view.
worries.
Pa, 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 pa. There we are. Hopefully you see the screen again.
Yes, I can. Um, Actually, it's just 1 second. It's a blank screen for me. It says I'm viewing your screen, but the screen is blank.
Oh,
I'm not sure if everyone else is seeing the screen that way too. Can you let me know in the chat, please? It's blank. Yeah, it's like a black screen,
okay.
unfortunately.
Let me share the whole screen. Allow. Are we good now?
No, it's still blank.
Hmm. That's quite interesting. So Arlene, perhaps you have to share
I
again.
tried my best for yesterday, but did not work out. I think I jinxed it by saying it that way yesterday.
Okay.
We tried a test run yesterday to make sure the screen share was working right and things.
Correct. So for me, it is showing that you are sharing the screen
Yeah,
entire
I think
screen.
the Zoom notification is there that I'm viewing your screen, but the screen in itself is blank.
Wow.
It,
So
someone is suggesting to stop sharing and reshare. I think you tried that though. Wait, let me share. your screen, the deck. Just give me a second.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That if you could share from your
Yeah,
side.
I'll do that.
Mm-hmm. So there are a bunch of chats. Stop sharing and reshare maybe. Okay, I see the screen.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Okay,
Thanks a
great. You
lot.
can just let me know when to skip to the next slide.
Pretty good. Thanks for it.
No worries.
So, apologies for the tech glitch. As usual, with the pun intended, you can imagine that why I don't like Zoom much, um, because the name says here. So we have a better ways of doing the presentation, but let's go with the Zoom now. So thanks a lot for all of you to join today. Not so long back, I was also part of the IPL EMBA, attending these sessions. Worried, concerned, and let me tell you that worries and concerns have not gone away. But at least what IPL gave us was the platform, the structure, and to spin the things around. So I've just put together a very short deck because the purpose of deck was not so much for you, but for me to not forget that what I'm speaking or the reference point. With that, Harleen, if you could go to the next slide, please. Um, so what is my intention? That I have a bit of career, I mean, which spans into decades. Um, but I can very clearly see it in my mind that there are two phases of it. One which I like to call it pre-IPL, IPL being here is the Institute of Product Leadership, and the post-IPL. And then when I see the things like this, there are interesting aspects. Harleen, if we can go to the next one, please. Uh, so let's start from the beginning. Not really from my birth, but from my very first job. But just below that, I was completing my education. I had the option to get into the PhD full times. Professors were excited. I was not so excited because I did not knew what I will do after, after, or what will I do while doing the PhD. The topic which I wanted to pursue was not available in my university for whatever reason. So I just dropped out of the PhD. And I did, in the frustration, a very small, short-term course, which was called Sun Java Certification that point of time. It was just the 10 days course. But the reason for me to highlight that is in green. So I had the education almost all the first year of PhD, but then this 15 days course becomes the pivotal thing, which sort of spins whole of my career around. I start thinking more actively that why should I not pursue the career in computer programming or engineering, as in industry side, because my natural tendency was the research. So that's the reason you see that the little green tilt on Sun Java notification. I joined my first job as an embedded system engineer, a company in down south in Chennai. Uh, but the part which I would like you to also see as a part of the journey is the things which I have marked it in blue. And these are, like, if you remember from your MBA classes, or your product management classes, that there is something called thinking, feeling, empathy map. um, Thinking, feeling, doing. So what you're seeing, the blue is the thinking and everything else is the doing part of it. There is no feeling. uh, Early part of my career, I was just trying to build the domain expertise. I wanted to become the best of whatever we were working on. And my domain has been for very long time, had been for very long time, the video engineering and the video products. So when I'm saying video, it is more on the video technology side of it. That means video streaming, video aggregation, video storage, and all plethora of it. So I spent a lot of time building the career expertise around video and being a good engineer, as good as I can be. Um, and that's where I did my first job switch. This landed me to a company which had a very broad scale, but not so much in digital video, but in digital TV domain. Also brought me to Bangalore. When I came to this company, I started seeing suddenly the scales of customers which were like very profound. The customers were studios, the customers were Hollywood production houses, and stuff like that. uh, at this point of time, my thinking, whatever is going on in my mind, is that how do I understand not only the video engineering but also the aspect of what makes this business tick, what gets more acceptance. The role is still very technical. but I'm now looking up to the people who are bringing in the business or bringing in the concepts. um, and my constant question was that how do you figure out that who wants what, what customer is asking, how do you figure out what is succeeding? Because as an engineer it was easy for me to build something and call it shipped, and then wait for a very long cycle of 6 months, 8 months to hear that this product did not take off. No blame came to me as an engineer, but I was always very curious. In the course of it, I also climbed up the I was climbing up the engineering rank. I became like what we call it as engineering manager in Cisco terminology, leading up to a pretty large team. I consider it large. It's a 20 plus direct reportees. Charter was to build the best and biggest platform around the video or WOD, SWOD, AWOD subscription platform. So something unique happened. As a part of the Cisco, I enrolled into a internal program of Cisco, which is called the Cisco Product Development, practice or program, and it is a very nice small couple of months long program where they train you to think that what it takes to become a product manager in Cisco. And this was the first jolt. So this was the first thing. I'm like, this is precisely what I was looking for. The kind of questions which I was asking. Who are these guys? Not that I was not aware of the product management, but this was my formal introduction. And just soon after, of course, I started searching frantically that where is the best and of the product management. IPL was starting its first batch of MBA, and I looked no further. Joined in that, jumped into it. Sorry, with both the feet in. Thinking, however, was still continuing from the past. I wanted to be like focus more on what it takes to bring in the customer and convince them enough to pay. So customer centricity. When I started, when I enrolled into the program, also as a part of it, we also learned that getting the money alone from the customer is not enough. You need to serve the customer because that's how you build business. So win a customer, serve them well, keep them happy, and you are in the business of making money. So MBA, at least in my case, was a strong booster of all the things included, like strong booster in my confidence, strong booster in my understanding, strong booster of the things which otherwise I wouldn't have done. Like I wouldn't have looked into the balance sheet of a company saying that I don't know. I'm more engineering guy. But MBA being the journalist degree, you are basically trained for everything else. Everything. So I started looking more on the business aspect of it. A random company, how well they are doing. Let me understand their balance sheet, their account books, just because I've done a 5 credit course around it. So very quickly after MBA, I would call it, and that's why I was trying to tell you there are two purposes of it. You see very few touch points before MBA and after the things. Every block or every round which you are seeing, it is one way or other. I've done the job switch, I've done the job change, I've done something else around it. So one thing that's become very clear is that big concepts are good, domain knowledge is great. Let's try it. So applying knowledge became the theme, and I will say that that is still going on. Just after that, I wanted to get into the product management. It was difficult in Cisco, so I switched a role in Ericsson, which was the closest to the pivotal point, which I wanted to figure out that more customer facing role. So I switched into a solution architecture, which was quite handy because I was already a technical person with the tons of customer exposure. This was the company Ericsson. After while doing it, the confidence was like, high. So I did also a startup in the video world, and we went around building, feature which we thought was quite unique. A lot of things went right. We started scaling. We started catering to the customers. Eventually, the startup raised the money also, successfully from a very marquee investors. But startups are hard, and they need to have like all the 36 nakshatras should be in alignment. Um, for whatever reasons, it did not scale. And actually, at this point of time, it was quite weird for me, like what to do, because I did not wanted to go back to engineering. So I took the formal path of product management, and I joined my first company as the or let's say more deeper into the product role in Nokia, and just after that in Technicolor. Um, all of these are spanning a couple of years each. These were the times where you were trying to position either a very hardcore enterprise product into a segment, or you are inventing something new. And this gave a lot of insight, a lot of practical knowledge. Then I said that okay, software is fine. I come from the embedded system background, so I took another dip into, because you see that until this the video continues to remain themes. So I know a lot about at least one particular domain or industry. I took a dip into something, can we work on the devices? Hardware is hard, many of you know that. And I joined a company called Technicolor, here in both Bangalore and Chennai. Uh, and this was very very nice because it was a very large scale integration, so to say, that hardware comes from a particular company, the company which I was working for. Software comes from Google, as in Android. Application layer comes from somebody, Netflix or Amazon or stuff like that. It was completely different scale, where any small issue will be blown, will be written about. So not only the customer centricity, but being quite accurate and having a very high level of rigor even as a PM, it became the things. And who knew that as a PM you need to test all the features which goes out. So so that was my role. At this point of time, while I was working on all these cool features, I started thinking of scale. Like what it would take to build something which is truly at the scale of like millions of users, if not billions or tens of millions of users, and something not only the scale in terms of usage, but also something which moves a bit. So when I started thinking about scale, I was, sort of, interviewing with few companies. Uh, so an interesting opportunity came with Google, and because I use the word scale, you can imagine that people at Google were all laughing at me, and they're like, "Okay, you want a scale, and we've got a scale." So I did something to achieve this scale. The thinking which is there in my mind, I did a couple of things. And these are all experiments that, um, let's sift the domain, because I have always remained there. Let's sift the company, let's sift the location, because I've moved to Google Europe, uh, to see that whether that the core product management and the experimentation which I have in mind is truly worthwhile. And I will say this is where I am. This is what you are seeing, because you are seeing an evolving journey. Evelyn, if we can go to the next slide. So I just spend a lot of time thinking that what is next for me. Um, Currently, I'm just thinking a bit around, not AI of any kind. I mean, so of course, we all have to think about AI because it's quite real. The company which I work in has the DNA around it, but I also spend thinking time, and this is not necessarily Google-driven thinking, but uh, artificial general intelligence, uh, and maybe the application of AGI in robotics. So, just on a point, if any of you are working on it, I will be just interested to know what you're working on. Uh, this is my current thinking. But when I think more as a role or activity, Google gives you the scale, you can continue to grow. But I see that if I have to truly do it, something next, which will be, I will call it as a milestone. Um, Perhaps it could be in a startup. Perhaps it could be somewhere where I succeed. So this is my customer journey map. And Harleen, next slide. Um, I would just like to see set tone for our discussion. Question is what product managers do. Of course, all of you know it. There is a lot of written material about it. I like this template from this company called Product Focus. I have given their link in QR code. So they have done the nice persona for the product managers itself, and you can imagine that um, a product manager in a day perhaps plays all of these roles, and this is not even the glamorization of the product role. So a real question to you is that, two questions to you, to all of the audience here, is that okay, you are considering product management as a journey, or as a role. You might have to figure out what kind of product manager you are. In certain order, you might have to do each of these roles, but still you have to figure out, as a product manager, which are the areas which you strongly feel. There is no uh, written criteria around how the product managers succeed, but invariably they end up being part of, either one of these roles or all of these roles or some flavor of these roles, mixture of it. uh, and as they say that, product managers are sarvaguna sampan. They know they have a variety of roles and variety of skills. The hard question you have to keep asking yourself, that which one you associate more and which you master, and that will determine that what sort of organization and company you would like to work and like to succeed. um, with that, next slide please. Okay, so we are on Q&A.
That's great. Thank you, Deepak. Um, all right, audience, you can start putting in your questions in the Q&A section. Uh, so Deepak, until the questions come in, I'm curious. You said you work in Google Europe now, so you're based out of.
I'm based out on Warsaw, Poland.
Okay. How long have you been there? How do you like living in Europe?
So now I'm completing 2 years. It is kind of nice, and Warsaw is a quieter place of the Europe,
Hmm.
and it's just nice. And it is nice also to work in a company where a lot of people understand that you've come from outside.
Okay,
Um, so overall, I will say it is a good experience.
that's good to hear. How do you feel about the cold weather though?
Oh, it's quite cold, but then you get used to it.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
So I see your first question.
Yes.
Gokul says that I'm not from technical background. Will still get an opportunity in product management industry? Um, so Gokul, absolutely. There is nobody is able to define that. How product managers comes, but let's talk about next step. How the product managers succeed? Do product manager always succeed with the tag as product manager? So I will say that there is no well-defined path. People with the variety of experiences have worked. If I could pull an example, I have seen the people who have come very successfully from the background of marketing, because these guys had a very very good view about what is evolving in the industry, where is the customer focus is, what people are liking, and these people have succeeded. I've seen salespeople getting into it. Of course, the support people, they are close to again technical background. The things, I believe, one of the key criteria for product management is that you should have a very vast view, and perhaps you should be a power user of your product. You should have a good product understanding and good customer understanding. Everything else is fungible, can be worked out.
Great. Thank you, Deepak. We have Chetna who has asked, what skills do you usually require when you move from program management to product management if you are non-technical?
If you are
Yeah.
non-technical, so okay, so you are in a program management. So let's say that the persona which I was talking about, the earlier slide, one of the things or two of the things you will find very strongly, that stakeholder management and the project management per se, it is written there. A good product manager by definition is a great project manager, also a great stakeholder management. These are the two things which should come handy to you. You can use those as access, and then perhaps pivot around or build up all these skills. Make no mistake, you have to get into each of those skills which is written in the persona. I'm just saying one of those personas, but you need to have a certain flavor of all those skills, because product management is generalist role. That means you need to know a lot before you take a decision.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we have Nisha who is asked, is it good to transition from Scrum Master to Product Manager?
Um, I would say yes, and I would like say other way around. Why not? But more strongly, you have to ask that why you want to become product manager. Like in my case, if I could quote from my example, was always around curiosity, how the business works, and why people pay the money. I mean, so that has always been the mystery for me. That why people pay the money for X product and not for Y product. So you need to very strongly associate yourself. because this is the place where you have to a keep defining your job description irrespective of what company says. B, you have to keep defining the metrics against which you will be validated. um, and that's why product management is, when you are in, you are inside it with both the feet in. It can't be like I am trying and then I could go back to something, so if you are in that mindset, I would say spend more time in understanding what product management is, and then take a crack at it.
That's good advice. I think we have Roshni who's raised their hand. Are you? Would you like to unmute yourselves and ask your question, or is that by mistake? I'm just confirming. So we can do that too. Um, okay. Okay. I think that was okay.
I see a lot of question on the chat, and I see
Yeah.
that one could be relevant for the audience here. How to crack the
Okay.
PM interviews for senior roles? It is Ramit has asked. Um, I would say again, there is no panika, there is no standard solution. Or if you take my experience, depending on where you want to go, which company, people will have a certain calibration or the things. Sometimes the companies like Google does, they will give you the step down. That means if you're a certain senior role, but in Google, when you're coming, they will give you the things. Question you have to keep asking that precisely, that what do you want to do and why you want to do it. If the answers are clear, I would say don't worry about whether the role is senior or not, because you will always have a path to grow inside an organization. So there is no other trick to cracking the PM interviews. Just be very, very good at whatever you are articulating in interviews. Prepare well, because I think many of the big companies, they sort of already let you know the format and just follow everything on it. Be very thorough and mindful.
Our next question is from Namrita, who has asked, "What were the challenges you faced during your transitional phase, and how did you overcome them?"
Good question. So I will say that the challenges were kind of well known. Like when I was moving from engineering to product management. So even if my title says technical program manager, but that was very, let's say, small part of it. And again, it was a very technical part of it. So there was a less of program management, more of a technical customer management. So for whatever reasons in that company, it was called TPM. Having said that, the challenges are always constant. A, knowing that what it takes to do the job. B, how well you will succeed. And I will just say, and only as an example, that I planned around it. So I did the small course inside the Cisco sponsored course, to give me the introduction. Then I also did the full fledged course in IPL. I'm not saying that that is the path, but I'm saying that prepare theoretically well, prepare practically well, and hopefully you'll find that the challenges will go away with the application of time.
I think with the applying it practically, we have Arya's question. How do you suggest that we build a portfolio? For example, a website showcasing their skills and work, and they have done, etc. When did you do something similar when you shifted to a product management role?
So I was switching into enterprise product role just after my startup. So my base portfolio was my startup because there were a lot of questions around it. Um, Having said that, does it help? Absolutely, it will help if you're going into a company where you have built, I mean, say, which is more consumer facing, B2C kind of thing, and they want to see your portfolio. You need to have something public facing, which you have successfully launched or scale. If you are in enterprise product management, then it is more like you need to explain a lot, because you cannot reveal one company's internal data to another company, even during interviews. So you should be very well articulate, like how you are built and what is the thing. One technique or one things which I've liked is that I ask people to give me an example and do a brainstorming with them. So I pick up the company in which I'm interviewing their product, and I will say that how will I go around it. So I will say this kind of worked for me. So try that.
Okay. Thank you. We have Sajid who has asked, he has let us know that they're a director with a startup in Bangalore. For the last years, I have been wearing multiple hats. Now I want to build a product. I have been working for 25 years. What approach do I take? He's asking what should be their next steps in planning.
So you always have a choice, entrepreneur. You could build a product outside of it, if your situation, your systems, your economics allow it. There is not too much of point waiting outside and letting something happen. So like if I get a chance, I will first try to build a product for solving my problem, and then just see that how many things I could apply around it. But sometimes your companies also provide you this opportunity. So if inside your organization you are in XYZ role, but they let you work on absolutely the area where nobody's paying attention, and you want to play a PM role or PO role, those are the good starting points, to go approach, raise your hand, find out something and start working around it. Answer is in doing, and also a bit of answer is in knowing. um, Given that it is not the curricular or school kind of things, you could learn while you are doing, and all the paths are open.
Thank you. Next, we have Gokul, who's asked, "What's your opinion on management consultant versus product management?"
uh, I would say those are two very different things. Management consultants are focused on a very narrow topic for a very short period of time, whereas a product manager, you need to build something which will outlast at least your role, if not outlast the company. So the view in product management, even if we go with the MVP route, the view is much more larger. Whereas in management consulting, you are trying to focus on a specific area, and you're like trying to spin everything around it, like get this thing done or get company in order or get businesses in the order. I wouldn't say that those are two different or two same league of things. But just to extend it, does product managers have the consultative approach? Answer will be yes, because there are certain similarities that both consultant and the product managers look a lot of industry data. They look at a lot of things around what his competitors is doing, and they look at a lot of things which is internally. I mean, say it is advantageous to product management is that knowing that what are the strength of my organization or my team. So these are the three areas where things are similar, um, but two different roles.
Next, we have Udipta, who's asked, "Recruiters look for people who are already in the role and have hands on experience. They don't consider people who are learning and are looking to transition to product leadership. So, for someone who is in core engineering, how do we break into the role?"
Great questions. No easy answer, because we today are not going to overnight switch the industry trend. And I would also call it what it is called lazy hiring. If you're already somebody doing something, then it is proven. Ergo, I will look for the people with the things. The hack could be that pick up a product, pick up a project, build, declare yourself as a product manager and do it. If you can't do it inside the organization, then do it for your friends, family, company. If you can't do it, build a website, like the earlier question which somebody asked. Build a website. Go and sign proper contract with your company that you're not doing anything which is competing with their business, but go and start building. You don't need anybody's permission or something. And then declare that you are self-taught product manager or self done product management role for the organization XYZ. But there are no good answers.
These are tough questions. There
Yeah.
is no single path, right? It's always, yeah. We have Ramit, who has let us know that they have 10 years of experience in technical engineering and sales. They're looking to transition. What should be the ideal strategy for transition? I think the same answer, right? No.
Ideal, yeah. I mean, so it is like ABC. It is like knowing what is product management is. Second thing is doing a bit of product management. But then third and most important thing is that why I am becoming product manager. If you know that why you are becoming product manager, you will figure out the answer to the other two. There is no mystery.
That's a great answer. We have Anura. I think we have run past time. We have a lot of questions.
I can
We
spend 5 more minutes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Deepak. We have Anurag, who has asked, Should a product manager have knowledge of technical languages? And if so, what languages would you recommend they learn? Do you think
Sorry, what is the question?
should a product manager have knowledge of technical languages?
Let's say programming languages. I would say that it will very widely depend on which company, which role, which what is their expectation. So a lot of companies let you know in the beginning itself that what they are expecting. More and more, again, I'm just saying as a trend, and my trend could be very narrow because I come from technology background. I am biased. Uh, More and more companies are looking for the product managers to know the product quite well. Um, if you don't know the programming language, is it the big detriment? I don't know, given that if the that is the role or requirement. If you're asking me to randomly choose a programming language, it will be, I will say, become very very good in analyzing the data. If that requires you to brush your SQL or Python plus one kind of databases. And the reason I'm saying that is not so much like how the product will be built, but you should become very very good at analyzing the data which is coming for your product adoption, your features. Who is using it, why they are using it, and analytical skills become like super useful. And unfortunately, if you as a product manager will not do this part, nobody else will do. So this is one area where product managers will start becoming very effective, is analyzing the whole incoming data. In today's world, there is a lot of noise. You need to become very very good at filtering signals, and that's where those data manipulation skills help.
Thank you, Deepak. We have Kale who's asked, since you've been to multiple companies, what difference have you seen in the pattern of working towards the exposure of the PM role? They're gone on to say that usually companies use resources like US as per the goal, and that might restrict the overall potential skill sets of product managers.
True. Good question again. Very practical thing. Largely, a company will define that what they are expecting from a product manager. But let's just say that more simply, how I have seen it happening for the companies. There are certain companies which wanted very technical product managers, and that's where being in the domain helps, because you're pretty much already in the domain. You know majority of the things, and then you are lingo compliant or whatever. That's one part of it. There could be, and sometimes you see these kind of advertisement like growth PMs, and those kind of specification. If those are being created, then people are signaling you that what they are looking for. And I'm just saying, in that case, it becomes that how to scale your product or how to do a specific thing becomes more important. Having said that, one company once I interviewed which wanted a product owner, but they were insisting on calling that role as a product manager. I have no strong feeling for or against it, but I'm just saying that when you are interviewing, just ask them that what they're really looking for, and again do a compatibility check. Is this what you were looking for, and is it okay with you?
Thank you. We have Smita who's asked, why did you choose product management path when you being on the tech side of the world?
um, in my case, it was very clear. Like I said, as a part of the journey, I was the biggest question for me, that what happens, how the things works, um, why people adopt a particular functionality or feature, why one product becomes very successful whereas the other product, which is exact replica and even cheaper, does not become, does not go anywhere. So why it was so mystery. So this mystery was something which I wanted to solve even as an engineer. And product management like puts you right in the middle of it, like go figure.
Yeah. Okay. Roshni is asking, what is the best strategy to get recruiters to notice you?
Okay. I don't think so I have a good answer, but I will just go back to the basics. Become very very good at what you're doing. Maybe what could help is, in today's world, is LinkedIn, and lot of legwork. That means to do also a lot of non-LinkedIn based social things. That means you show up in the conferences, meet the right people, talk to the people, hire a mentor, hire as in like convince somebody to become your mentor and stuff like that. So build a network.
Network.
Um, If you can skip through this whole recruitment process or recruiter based process, it will be easy, but that's hard to do, and that takes time, which also will attach it back to that why you wanted to become what you wanted to become at first place.
Okay, thank you. I think we'll take the last question, which is from Gokul, which is what do you think the future demand for product management is?
I hope that the future remains bright. Otherwise, what we all will do. Uh, Having said that, okay, let's kind of dissect the future into a couple of things. What's happening? We know the one, we know the technology trends. We know that how technology is sort of evolving. Um, we also know that specific technology like AI or something which is making headway into pretty much all these spaces. So being quite compatible with them, I will still say that somebody has to define that what we need to build and why we need to build, not what. I mean, say enough of has been built, and this why will remain very elusive question. Either organizations will have a God-given knowledge to them that go ahead and build this, or there will be a role or function which will be needed to define it. It could be a feature, it could be iteration, it could be an MVP, but somebody need to put pen to paper, and I believe that will continue to remain, I mean, say, in the product domain, irrespective of whatever we call this role in future.
Thank you, Deepak. It's been such a pleasure having you join us and share your story. It's been so interesting to listen to. Thank you for sharing it with us. Um,
Can you just show this last slide, because that has, yeah, okay,
okay, my bad. Let me do that. Okay.
that has my LinkedIn this thing, so please scan it and hit me if I could be of any help. You can take the picture or whatever, but that's it,
That's
Harleen.
very
Back to you.
Thank you so much, Deepak. It's been a pleasure having you join us and sharing your story. 1 second. I hope that's been enough time for everyone to scan the
Thank
code.
you. Bye.
Okay.
Really nice meeting you. Have a good day, good life.
Please accept this certificate of appreciation from the Institute for your time and for sharing your story.
Thank you
I
so
will
much.
send it across to you over email.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepak. And thank you everyone for joining in. I'm sure this session's been fruitful and you've gotten some insights on how to go ahead in your product management career.